we look at life as just abstaining from not doing it. Most people I talk to that, they're struggling with Christianity, they want to get saved, they're always saying, well, I'm trying to stop doing this. Or I'm trying to stop, drinking so much. I'm trying to stop, partying too much. I'm trying to stop cussing so much. He's not saying to abstain. He's saying you should be producing something. You should be producing something that gives life, doesn't just take life. It's not just about experiencing life, it's about producing life. And in Mark chapter 11, one of the most interesting scriptures in all of the life of Jesus. Jesus has just flipped the tables over the temple. He comes out and he sees this fig tree. It says this in verse 12. It says, on the following day when they came from Bethany, he was hungry. And seeing in the distance a fig tree in leaf, he went to see if he could find anything on it. And when he came to it, he found nothing but leaves, for it was not the season of figs. And he said to it, may no one ever eat fruit from you again. And his disciples heard it. Now, first off, from this scripture, we realize Jesus is not a tree hugger. He cursed a fig tree. Second of all, it messes with the disciples' mind. Like, what is Jesus doing? Like, why is he out here cursing trees? Second of all, why is he cursing it for not having figs on it when it says it wasn't the season for figs? Right? So what I think happened after digging for years in this scripture is Jesus is hungry, it says. He sees a fig tree far off, and it's full of green leaves. So when a fig tree has green leaves, it means it's producing fruit. It doesn't produce leaves then fruit. It produces leaves and fruit at the same time. So Jesus sees this fig tree, and he sees that it's in full leaf. So he goes, and when he goes, he's digging through this tree trying to find figs or fruit on this tree. He doesn't find fruit. He gets upset. He curses the fig tree and tells it to never produce fruit again. They come back the next day, and it's already dying and withering away. Why would Jesus be so upset about a couple figs? And the reason is he's displaying what happened in the temple the day before. When he went to the temple, there's a bunch of religious people who were saying they were worshiping. They're selling goods to one another, but they wouldn't let the Gentiles in to worship. And so they're selling the offerings and the sacrifices where the Gentiles are trying to worship. And what he was frustrated about was you had a people who were going through religious motions, acting like they were religious, but there was no fruit to the religion. So he says the fig tree that's saying, hey, I have green leaves, which means to the world, I am fruitful. Jesus thinks it's fruitful because it's green in leaf. He goes, when he digs around in it, he sees there's no fig tree. Jesus curses the fig tree because it was trying to tell the world it was fruitful, but when you dug into it, it wasn't fruitful at all. Another way to say that was, it was a religious tree that wanted people to think that it was holy, but when you dug inside of it, there was nothing holy on the inside. He was frustrated because it was displaying that it was a Christian. It says, I'm a Christian, but there's actually no fruit within his tree. Fruit is not an option. If Jesus has planted his life inside of your life, it should produce the fruit of the life of Jesus. The problem with us is we try to put on green leaves on Sunday morning to look like we're good Christians, to look like we're religious, to look like we're nice, to look like we have joy, to look like we have kindness, to look like we have patience, to look like we have long-suffering, to look like we have humility. But Jesus sees right through the leaves and sees that there's no fruit. And he didn't lay down his life just so that we could have green leaves. Green leaves look like it's life, but it doesn't produce anything anyone else can experience. Fruit is something other people can experience. A little bit of heaven on earth, so they want to go to heaven. And Jesus curses the fig tree and says, let's start over. And so for you, what is blocking Jesus from seeing your fruit? Could it be your social media timeline? He's come to look for you, and he can't see the fruit because there's so much Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Threads and whatever the new social media thing is of the day. Or is it your mouth is so bad he can't see past your mouth to see the fruit? Could it be your anger? Could it be sexual immorality? Could it be the dissension and the jealousy? Could it be whatever? There's things that block the fruit from being seen and being evident. And Jesus is looking for fruit. And not just fruit, but more fruit.